Welcome back, everybody, to this show. Lots of breaking news today as we're going live. I hope all of you are well. I'm going to show you why it is that Trump has not been doing as many press conferences lately. He had that Medal of Honor ceremony, didn't take questions, walked right out. And during it, while he's supposed to be honoring people who have risked everything for our country, he ends up rambling about how he wishes he could get the Medal of Honor, despite him avoiding whenever he was called upon actually serving, and him getting distracted talking about how the drapes, the golden drapes, look so great and there's going to be a ballroom out there. So there he didn't take questions. He's been posting social media videos addressing the nation instead of live speeches or engaging with the press. On Air Force One he hasn't. He's been running away from the press. And finally, in the Oval Office, he's taking questions since his war against Iran based on, as we get more information, no imminent threat, but a war of choice. And now the death toll just for American soldiers, heroes, has gone up to 4, not to mention all of the dozens of civilians who have been killed. And Trump failed to give us any calm at this press conference. Actually made me feel a heck of a lot worse. I'm going to play you clips from that and then show you a post that he sent out on Truth Social that will make you feel even more worse. Happy Tuesday.
Mr. President, what's the worst case scenario that you have planned for in Iran?
Well, I don't know if there's a worst case. We have them very much beaten militarily from the military standpoint. They're still lobbing some missiles. At some point, they won't even be able to do that because we're hitting all of their carriers. We're hitting all of their missile stock. You know, they built up all these missiles over the last few years. They had a lot of them. They've shot a lot of them, and we're knocking out a lot. I guess the worst case would be we do this, and then somebody takes over who's as bad as the previous person, right? That could happen. We don't want that to happen. That would probably be the worst. You go through this, and then in 5 years you realize you put somebody in who was no better.
Why is he acting like he's just realizing that right now? What's the worst case? Oh, I don't really think there's a worst case. It's sort of good case or gooder case is really what we have laid out. It is Operation Epic Fury, so how could it be anything less than epic? And then as he's sitting there, he goes, well, I guess, you could have what has happened many times when we've done regime change wars, which is us going after, admittedly, someone who's horrible, just leads to a power vacuum that creates more chaos, more destabilization, more radicalization, and then leaders or a leader who is even worse than what was before or as bad as. And seeing him kind of go, well, I guess that could happen is chilling, because if you're going to risk American lives, you're going to unconstitutionally and illegally go to war, you're going to declare an imminent threat when there wasn't one, you're going to lie about the reason you're going to war about a nuclear program whenever you said that it was obliterated and we know that it actually wasn't at all anywhere close to being a threat to us, you at least would make sure that 100% you're not going to leave things worse than when you started this. And it's clear he hasn't done that. Then more. Just the quickest pause for the video amid all of this chaos. If you do appreciate these updates, please click the subscribe button, click the like button. Both of those are completely free, but subscribe is the most important to support what we do. Back to the video.
There are a lot of bombs are being dropped, but I always say that would be about the worst.
Do you have someone in mind right now? Because you said all the people you did have in mind have been taken out.
Okay. So, just like Venezuela, he invades, takes Maduro, and then we go, so are you going to try to install the opposition leader, or what's the plan here? And he was like, I don't know. Isn't it fun? We're just going to kind of take it one day at a time. Similar vibe here. He said recently, we had a few people in mind to take over in Iran after we killed Khomeini, but we killed them. So I don't know what to do about that now.
Well, most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, we had some in mind from that group that is dead. And now we have another group. They may be dead also, based on reports. So I guess you have a third wave coming in. Pretty soon we're not going to know anybody. But we have, Venezuela was so incredible because we did the attack.
Okay, then he goes off topic. Now, before I play you this next clip, this just happens to fit in really nicely. We know Bobby, I always get it mixed up, but much love, said, hello friends, my dog Theon says Pep is the best energy drink for my human. Despite all that is dark and grim right now, if you do want a healthy, gut-friendly boost, energetically, a little bit of caffeine from a family business, myself and my brothers, both of them serving in the military, you can go to drinkpep.com, order yourself some Pep, deliver it directly to your doorstep. I appreciate that greatly. JD Vance, who has been hiding, not posting as much on X, he knows that he has been very critical of this exact type of Middle East intervention for the purpose of regime change based on a false premise, and his boss did it. So now he has to pretend like, much like how he called Trump maybe America's Hitler and then had to flip on that, he's going to have to flip-flop on this as well and go, well, this is different because...
What is different about President Trump, and it's frankly different about both Republicans and Democrats of the past, is that he's not going to let his country go to war unless there's a clearly defined objective. He's defined that objective as Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon and has to commit long-term to never trying to rebuild their nuclear capability. It's pretty clear, it's pretty simple, and I think that means that we're not going to get into the problems that we've had with Iraq and Afghanistan.
Do you and the
So we're not going to have, he says, you're not going to have a multi-year conflict with no end in sight, right? And that's where I'm going to show you moments later, Trump posting, hey, this might be a long time. Like literally right after JD Vance says that. But number one, let me remind you, we were called fake news, people without patriotism, liars, hated the troops for some reason, which is a sickening attack for people to level at patriots, because we said, oh, we're getting intelligence that maybe the Midnight Hammer operation wasn't as successful as you're saying it is. And they said, no, if you say anything other than the nuclear program was completely obliterated for years to come, then you hate America and you love Khamenei. And you thought his beard was perfect. Or something. No, we were just trying to assess the facts at the time. And then they're now coming out and going, the nuclear program is the sole objective. Okay. So what they're trying to say maybe is that, yes, we obliterated it, but they still wanted to recreate it. So if we just go bomb everything, then somehow that's going to make whoever takes over next a part of the same regime with the same ideology. Even Trump's admitting that could happen, that for some reason they're not going to then continue a nuclear program. But if you get attacked like this, would that not incentivize you to try to get the type of weaponry, to try to get a nuclear program that would prevent any further attacks in the future? I think it would, actually. So even that is a contradiction. But let's address this is not going to be a multi-year forever war. Trump then shortly after posts this. The United States munitions. Now, I know you're going to go, oh, I might click off. I really want you to figure out if you can follow this statement, okay? Because I struggled, but maybe it's because I'm a dum-dum. The United States munition stockpiles have at the medium and upper medium grade never been higher or better. As was stated to me today, we have a virtually unlimited supply of these weapons. Wars can be fought forever and very successfully. He used the word forever. Okay, he's not saying we're going to, but he's saying we could. And it could be successful. If I wanted to, it would be great and we could do it. But I'm not saying we will, but we could. Using just these supplies, which are better than any other country's finest arms. At the highest end, we have a good supply, but are not where we want to be. Much additional high-grade weaponry is stored for us in outlying countries. Sleepy Joe Biden spent all of his time and our country's money giving everything to P.T. Barnum Zelensky of Ukraine. Gross. Hundreds of billions of dollars worth. And while he gave us so much of the super high end away, he didn't bother to replace it. Fortunately, I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so. The United States is stocked and ready to win big. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald Trump. That was aside from him referencing we could go to war forever if we needed to, and we could do it successfully, which kind of contradicts what Vance was just saying. I also don't follow at all what he was trying to say. We have the medium grade, fully unlimited supplied, but the highest end is a good supply, but not unlimited. But I guess we only need the medium grade unlimited to go forever, and Sleepy Joe Biden something Zelensky, but Trump rebuilt it, but it's not rebuilt enough. Okay. So there's that, if you followed it. I meant to show you these videos yesterday, but look at what Trump was doing shortly before and right after. Oh, who's that? Putting a little hand on his back. That's not Melania, right? No, she was busy at overseeing the UN Security Council. What? The first lady to ever preside over the UN Security Council was Melania Trump. But this was Trump right before the strike. I gotta go to work. So that was right before. Now you have this clip of Pete Hegseth a little while ago saying he's a recovering neocon. Apparently, he fell off the wagon on the neocon recovery.
I've been a recovering neocon for 6 years now. Like the foolishness with which we ricocheted around the world, intervening, think it was in our best interest, when really we just overturned the table and created something worse in almost every single scenario, has led to the hubris of the Pentagon is that they want to now tell other countries how to do counterinsurgency based on what we did in Iraq and Afghanistan. Like, are you kidding me? So you really have learned nothing.
It sounds like he's talking about and to himself, and it's funny for him to describe himself as a recovering neocon, because that would, in that metaphor, you would say that now he's fallen off the wagon, which maybe happened in our Kash Patel. You know, I explained to you yesterday, you probably don't feel good about Trump and Pete Hegseth looking out for us internationally, but maybe you feel better about Kash Patel, who was recently seen partying with the hockey players like a bro. Maybe you feel better about him protecting us against threats domestically. Oh, if you do, you shouldn't, because right before this war, in a retribution campaign against people who dared to work on one of Trump's investigations, meaning one of the investigations into Trump, because they were doing their job and there was plenty of reason to believe that crimes had been committed, he ousted FBI agents because they worked on a Trump-related case as punishment. Oh, those ones happen to have very relevant expertise to Iranian threats domestically. You just can't even articulate the incompetence here. FBI Director Kash Patel fired at least a dozen counterintelligence staffers at the FBI mere days before the U.S. strikes on Iran, despite their relevant expertise. The ousted staffers included agents and personnel from a counterintelligence unit called CI-12 in the FBI's Washington field office, and firings were ordered directly by Patel. Citing 4 former officials familiar with the dismissals, their work focused on media leaks, global espionage, and threats that included those involving the Iranian regime. How do you even write this if it were fictional? Because they want to prove the lesson, to teach these FBI agents a lesson that if you dare to use the law or enforce the law against people who share the Trumpian ideology, then you will be punished. As a part of that, they ended up potentially putting us in more jeopardy and impeding the safety of Americans, because we should expect, as we have preliminary reason to believe in the Austin shooting, that there's going to be enhanced risks domestically because of this war starting.